Welcome to the Body Shop Physical Therapy. My name is Catherine Price and I'm a physical therapist. I'm going to go over correct sitting posture and particularly stack sitting. Before I begin, I'm going to speak a word of life from Psalm 121, 1 through 2. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. So this is stack sitting that's described by Esther Gokhale in her book, 8 Steps to a Pain-Free Back. And you may hear folks say, just sit up straight and lift up. And it's fairly simple, but we want to tune into what's going on as we stack the vertebrae. When we stack our vertebrae, we are putting less stress on the vertebral bodies, where if you compress them, that's how you can end up with compression fractures if you have a lot of compression on those vertebral bodies. The other part with incorrect sitting is in this position, you're putting a lot of stress that's placed on the back side of the disc, and that outer part of your disc material that cushions the back is made up of ligamentous tissue, and ligamentous tissue is viscoelastic. So if you are going to quickly stretch it or you do a fast movement, it's pretty strong, but when you do long, slow holds, you can just tear through those fibers. So people that sit in a slouch position with pressure on the disc, over time, they tear through that ligamentous tissue, those fibers, and that's what is referred then if the material goes out into the spinal canal as a herniated disc. So some folks will say, I have a slipped disc or I have a disc herniation. That is what is being referred to, and that's when you are tearing that ligamentous tissue, and long holds in that position that strains that soft tissue is what can lead to tearing. So that is where sitting can be damaging to the back over time. So if we focus on conscientiously sitting in correct sitting posture, then we can avoid that stress and strain on the back. So to begin, I'm going to start in a standing position. When I'm standing, I want to be hip width apart in my feet, and I'm going to back up to the chair. I want my feet facing forward, and I want to try to make a kidney bean shape with my feet. So to show you how I do that, I like to give a little bit of pressure with the toes down into the floor without curling them. And then when I look down, you should see the feet somewhat shaped into a kidney bean. When I do that, I am aligning my body all the way from my feet up, and so that helps with the alignment and stress and strain on the legs. So that's where I'll start. Feet are hip width apart, toes are facing forward, and I'm going to address and place my feet in a kidney bean shape. Then what I want to do is I want to tilt my hips slightly forward. So we're meant to have a little slight forward tilt in our hip, and then I'm going to bend, and when I bend, I'm going to bend separately from my thigh. So this is going to be a hip hinge. When I bend, I want my thighs to stay still, and I want the pelvis to move. So I'm not rounding in my back. I'm what you call hip hinging. My thighs are going to stay still, my pelvis tilts forward, and I'm going to bend at both my hip and my knees, sitting back just as if I'm going to sit onto a commode. And I want to sit so the edge of my butt goes on the wedge, and then I will also, so when I'm leaning forward, you're going to feel the back muscles will come on, and that's going to help to stack the vertebrae. So I'm engaging those. Now I'm also going to do a rib anchor here, and what that is I'm going to bring my ribs, I'm going to engage my abdominals so that my ribs feel like they're going backwards. I'm not slouching, but I'm holding my core, and so it's going to feel like I'm anchoring my ribs backwards. So I've got my core contracted. Another way to get that rib anchor is if I reach forward, I'm going to feel the core contract, and then I hold that and bring my arms back down. So I am got my buttocks up towards the wedge, and I'm I activated my extensors just by having that forward lean. I've got my abdominals contracted, and then I'm going to sit upright. Now when I sit upright, if I picture having a tailbone or a tail, I'm going to untuck my tail, and that wedge automatically tilts me into that anteversion or a slight tilt forward. You don't want to overarch your back, so if you're arched like this, incorrect. You want to, that is too overarched, and that is going to compress the back, and that you're going to close the back too much. So you want to have a slight tilt forward, but you're not arching the back. You're just bringing and tipping the pelvis forward with the contracted abdominals. You should feel the upper body and the chest rise. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back of my hair and just lift up towards the ceiling to lengthen my neck. And so I will lengthen the neck. That's going to lengthen the spine, just picturing a helium balloon just lifting up through the top of your head, holding that position. And then I'm going to keep my core contracted, gently roll one shoulder back, and gently roll the other back. And just let the arms fall by my side. So this is going to be correct sitting posture for stack sitting. It should feel really good to be in this position, and I do not feel any stress or strain on my core, and it feels really good to me. Confession, do not always pay attention to my posture, but when I do drive for long distances, I will do a stack sitting posture, and when I am in the correct sitting position, I find that I have to really move the seat in the car up to drive, because you'll find that you're going to have you're not going to be lengthening and rounding through the back and the legs. You're going to the legs are going to be shortened, so you've got to be closer in order to reach the pedal and maintain that stack sitting. And that's where I have noticed the biggest difference in using stack sitting. But this is a great position to get into, avoid the stress on the back, and prevent from those disc herniations that occur from prolonged sitting. I hope this is of help, and have a blessed day. Thank you.